That's right, a new highly dangerous villain has appeared in Boruto. In fact, this villain is the most dangerous one to have appeared so far, and has the potential to threaten the entire shinobi world. If you thought Ashiki was dangerous, wait until you see this villain. Code, Kawaki, and others from Kara pale in comparison to this new threat. In this video, I'll explain everything about this new villain, where they come from, their powers, and everything that surrounds this new menace. Code modified the Ten Tails. The main reason the Ten Tails turned into a villain was Code. For those who don't know, he used the Ten Tails to create an army of creatures called Dirty Claws. These creatures are basically a much weaker version of the original Ten Tails. Code managed to do this using his claw marks, which allow him, among other things, to manipulate chakra. This was how he divided the Ten Tails chakra to create an army of 1,000 creatures. Code's goal was to have an army to invade Konoha, just as he did in the last chapters of the manga. However, what Code did was dig his own grave, because this modification to the Ten Tails helped it evolve its abilities and develop its own consciousness. In the end, it was the Ten Tails manipulating Code, not the other way around. For those who didn't understand, the Ten Tails was using Code's army to create new villains with its chakra and the genetic information of those trapped in the trees, like Sasuke and Bug. In this way, it managed to break free from Code's control and even acquire his Shinjutsu from the claw marks. The result of this was the villains that appeared in Chapter 4. Code's modification to the Ten Tails somehow altered its nature from devouring chakra and creating the Divine Tree's fruit to developing its own personality. That's why Code lost control of the Ten Tails in the last chapter. The Dirty Claws. When Ashiki was killed, everyone was surprised to see Code creating an army of many Ten Tails that seemed to be very powerful initially. However, when he invaded Konoha with these bizarre creatures, we found out that these so-called Dirty Claws were ridiculously weak. To give you an idea, even the Ino Shikacho trio defeated these creatures without any difficulty, and Boruto didn't even need to use his new powers to face them. His sword alone was sufficient. However, the real threat of these Dirty Claws is not their raw power level. In this new phase, we learned that these creatures can transform their victims into trees upon the first contact with them. We saw an extra saving Sarada from a Dirty Claw, and then getting bitten by the creature and enveloped by a tree, which completely paralyzed his body. These creatures are basically fragments of the Divine Tree, and as such, their sole purpose is to devour chakra to create the chakra fruit. However, since Code altered the nature of the Ten Tails, it was using the chakra of those trapped in the trees to create perfect clones of its victims, including their appearance, powers, and the Ten Tails chakra itself. The origin of the new villains. But do you really understand the origins of these new villains? The Ten Tails managed to develop self-awareness thanks to Code's claw marks, which divided it into various parts. This way, the natural instinct of the Divine Tree to devour chakra was altered into a thirst for knowledge and independent intelligence. That's why in Chapter 4, the leader of this new group showed more interest in understanding the world than simply absorbing chakra to create a simple Divine Tree fruit. Now the Ten Tails has its own interests and plans. The main reason these new villains emerged was precisely because Code divided the Ten Tails into 1,000 parts. This allowed the main body of the Ten Tails to use the chakra and DNA of those absorbed by the Dirty Claw trees to create perfect clones of these people, with the same appearance, powers, Rinnegan, and the Ten Tails chakra. That's how these new villains came into existence. It was during this transformation that these clones developed their own personalities. Now, the manga's main villains is the Ten Tails itself, which was previously used by other characters. Did Sasuke turn villain? After so many theories about Sasuke's whereabouts, we finally have the answer. He was turned into a tree by a Dirty Claw. This probably happened while Sasuke was protecting Boruto from these creatures, because there's no way he would lose to an extra like that. Even Chocho defeated a Dirty Claw, which doesn't make sense given Sasuke's powers. After all, Sasuke has enough power to escape such a ceiling, such as using his Susanoo. However, this was the excuse Kishimoto found to remove Sasuke from the scene. The consequence of this is that the Ten Tails used Sasuke's chakra and DNA to create a clone with the same appearance and powers, including the Ten Tails powers, like the Rinnegan. This villain looks just like Sasuke, and had a brief confrontation with Boruto. During this fight, the Sasuke clone used Chidori in an attempt to attack Boruto, but the attack was blocked by a Rasengan. The Sasuke clone can also use Code's claw mark powers, and showed the ability to shape his hand into a weapon, similar to what Kawaki does. The question is, can this clone also use Sasuke's perfect Susanoo? Who are the other two villains? In addition to Sasuke, we also had other characters being turned into villains as clones. One of them was Bug, who was bitten by a dirty claw and transformed into a tree off screen. In Chapter 4, we see that he was used to create a villain with his appearance. Boruto had a brief fight with him, where we saw the villain using wood style, but Boruto used a lightning style technique and Hiroshin to defend himself. However, unlike the dirty claws, this time, Boruto had a bit of trouble facing this villain because he was at a higher power level. Another villain was revealed as well. Some people said it was a Delta clone, but I think it's actually a Mogi clone, because Delta's villainous phase has passed, and the Divine Tree wouldn't attack a robot. It targets beings with chakra. Furthermore, in Chapter 4, this new villain used an Earth-style jutsu to trap Boruto. The same jutsu was used by Mogi in Chapter 44 to restrain Amado when he arrived in Konoha. So my theory is that Mogi was bitten by a dirty claw off screen. Currently, she is the sensei of Shikade's team, and the new villain has the same hairstyle as her. It will be interesting to see this new villain in action, especially because she is powerful, has a personality, and Mogi also possesses wood style. The Ten Tails is the leader of the new villains. But what about the leader of this group, who was turned into a tree to create this clone? Who was turned into a tree to create this clone? Was it a random Konoha extra or Ishiki's chakra? My theory is that this villain is the Divine Tree itself, the Ten Tails. It couldn't be Ishiki, because the Ten Tails never absorbed his chakra or DNA. That's why I suggest that the Ten Tails developed its own consciousness and is behind the creation of the villains mentioned above. We can see that this new character is more intelligent than the others, even in the way he speaks, which is more formal and cultured. Furthermore, if you look closely, this villain is the only one with the Six Paths symbol on his back, unlike the others who lack this detail. This symbol represents the Ten Tails itself, which is why Madara and Obito gained this mark after becoming the Ten Tails Jinchurikis. This new villain is also the only one who managed to fly in this chapter, and he even appears more imposing, as if he were superior to the others. They're getting even stronger. Another important piece of information is that these villains are still evolving their powers. The leader of this new group of villains mentioned that thanks to Code's modifications, they are evolving, which means these characters are becoming even stronger. As more characters are devoured by the Dirty Claws, this group will continue to grow more and more powerful. But now it's up to you. Are you enjoying these new villains? Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated and not miss any new videos. I'm explaining all the latest developments in the new phase of the manga. On the screen, there are 2 epic videos playing. Click one and watch. I'm sure you'll enjoy. I'll see you in the next video.